What up guys, JT Anime and Nerd here, bringing you all that nerdy goodness. In this video, I'm going to be doing my spoiler review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Bring a new direction for the a movie bringing a new direction and for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles we all grew up with. Now before I start the review, I just want to mention I grew up with the 4Kids TV's version of the Turtles, which are my definitive Turtles. Aside from that, my favorite Turtles movie is actually the TMNT animated movie. I'd explain why, but I feel like you gotta watch it to understand why that movie's the best out of all the Turtle films, even better than this, in my opinion. I actually find Mutant Mayhem to be my fourth favorite Turtle film, behind Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, my third, the live-action Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movie, my second favorite, and of course, as I just mentioned, the TMNT animated movie, my first favorite. Though I'm gonna be frank, after watching this movie, I'm gonna expect the sequel to be so good that it gets to my top three. Because let's be honest, the art style of this movie, of course, was driven by Into the Spider-Verse. I won't say it was inspired, because the art style qualifies to be its own thing, in my opinion. But we also can't deny that whatever Into the Spider-Verse did with its animation is what drove these new unique styles. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the review. Story-wise, this movie was incredible. I know like the acceptance thing is a cliche, but I actually think they nailed it in this movie. The turtles just want to be accepted by humanity so they can live their teenage life to the fullest. Even the way they went about it was so much how a teenager would think, which really makes me appreciate that the turtles we know and love are voiced by actual teenagers. So props to Seth Rogen for that. But we'll get more into that part of their story a bit later. The movie actually begins with Baxter Stockman creating the first set of mutants with the mutagen. Right now, the movie appears to be making it seem like Baxter Stockman created the mutagen, but it never exactly states that. At least I think, at least to my mem what I remember, because I only saw this movie once. But who knows? The sequel might reveal that the mutagen is of Krang origin, like in the CGI Nickelodeon series. But for now, only time will tell. Anyway, Baxter is creating the mutants, but is attacked by the men of a woman named Cynthia Utrom. At first, it was unclear to me if this was a new villain or a villain in the past as Turtle series or comics, but after doing a bit more research, now I know that Utrom is like kind of the robots that the Krang control. So it seems like it's moving towards her going to be revealed as a Krang, possibly in the second or third movie, because we know this is definitely getting a trilogy. Anyway, Cynthia's henchmen would roll in guns drawn, but would be nearly stopped by an infant Superfly. However, this caused the seeming death of Baxter Stockman due to the leading henchman and shooting explosive canisters. But this would also be the catalyst for the ooze to make it into the sewers and spill on the baby turtles. M- Meanwhile, we would find out that Splinter grew up hating humans simply because he was a rat, and his hatred for them did not cease even after he got mutated. In fact, this is the driving factor for Splinter to want to protect the turtles. Because unlike previous iterations of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, in this movie he's a father first, sensei last. Actually, I don't even think they view him as a sensei in this movie. They call him dad the whole time, and never Master Splinter. At least I don't think I heard it even once in the movie. But in the end, and he looks at his comparison to Superfly and realizes that there's a difference between protecting your children and taking away their freedom to live their own life, and so embraces them leaving the nest and going to high school. Now, I know I'm going all over the place with this story, but bear with me here. Everything is triggered when one night the Turtles end up accidentally getting involved with April O'Neil, a high school journalist who just wants to make it as a reporter, as well as save her high school prom from a citywide curfew due to Superfly's action as a criminal. Now, I do have to admit, I really loved April's role in this whole thing, and I know there was that whole controversy with how she looked, but I don't care about that. What matters is her actual character development in the movie, and I thought it was great. I even love the fact that Leo actually is the one who now has a crush on her. But of course, he seemingly kind of shot him down at prom, trying to say this is just a friend and thing. But who knows if they might actually develop more of that thing. I mean, it worked out for Donnie and April in the CGI Nickelodeon series, so Who knows? Either way, at the end of the day, I loved April in this movie. Now we really need to talk about Superfly because man, was he a great villain. Not only was it great to hear Ice Cube's voice and voice acting again, I don't think I've heard him voice act since The Book of Life, very good movie, but he really sold it as a villainous fly because let me tell you, I was so surprised at the fact that Superfly was the main villain. Superfly was incredible. You could even relate to his reasoning for wanting to kill all humans because he wants to create a world safe for his family. And as long as something threatened them, he would always hate that very thing. This was something that Splinter could relate to, but knew that even that went too far and chose to take a chance on the turtles' belief in humans. I honestly would have at least thought Baxter Stockman was the main villain, but no, it turned out to be Superfly, and when I saw all that first trailer with him, I was blown away and knew that this was gonna be a great film. I gotta admit though, I felt slightly disappointed with Superfly's giant form in the final battle, made from all those animals. I don't really know why I'm not a big fan of it. I guess I just feel the design could have been better. But what are you gonna do? They worked with what they had, and that was the best they could do. Now I gotta say, as far as the other mutants go, they were okay. I was underwhelmed with how they were presented, and each didn't really have their own origin story, which makes them becoming good a bit odd in my opinion. But there could be a way for them to go in different directions, and even turn bad at some point in the possible future. I know that this new trilogy of turtle movies, and believe me, it will be a trilogy, are pretty much going to focus on the turtles going their own way. But I can honestly see each of these mutants falling into a dark path almost similar to Superfly, because they're going to want to live their own lives, and the Turtles or Splinter could get in the way of that, even unintentionally. All around, I thought Superfly was awesome, but didn't feel the rest of the mutants lived up to their full potential in this movie. He, he specifically. We can only imagine what's next for them in the sequel. I can honestly say though, the only interesting mutant of them was Mondo Gecko for his relationship with Michelangelo, but that's as far as it goes for me. And I'm not even gonna mention the cockroach mutant, so just watch the movie if you're wondering about that. Now let's talk about the turtles themselves. I gotta admit, at first I considered them a bit generic. Not that I didn't, and not that they didn't have different personalities, but the fact that Seth Rogen wanted to touch upon on their teenage side so much kind of made them all feel like similar characters to me. But like they have all those buddy moments, and they all pretty much nearly like the same things. They all have the same. They all pretty much react the same to their activities. Stuff like that. Uh, but as the movie goes on, we see their trademark personalities begin to show piece by piece. And by the final battle, it feels like they fully embraced what they're meant to be. Like Donatello showed how he was the smart one, especially because the final plan was based off of the anime Attack on Titan. Shout out to that anime. I don't plan on watching the final season until it is fully here. Excuse me. The Then there's Raphael, who even Leonardo sees the value in Raph's anger and rage at how it can be used as a weapon against their enemies. Michelangelo shows how he's the heart of the team every step of the way, even without a plan to follow, which is more his style. And of course, Leonardo, by the near end of the movie, proves exactly why he's the leader of the turtles. Even Raph, the brother who can be considered Leonardo's rival, admits to Leo that he sounded like a leader. The turtles in this movie kind of felt like how the MCU Spider-Man trilogy was actually his origin story into learning with great power comes great responsibility. It was as if this journey the turtles went on led them to discover who they truly were as heroes and people, and didn't really start off with all of those character traits we know, love, and expect from them. In the end, of course, the turtles would be accepted, but wouldn't let it be their core reason for wanting to protect people. At least not anymore. Truly earning the acceptance of humanity and finally getting to live the lives of normal teenagers. Now we can talk about the big post or mid-credit scene at the end, which, let's be honest, we all knew it was going to be about the Shredder. The post-credit scene shows the turtles enjoying prom with all the other students, while in the meantime, Utrom is spying on them, and she tells her men that it's time to call in the Shredder. And then we see a freaking silhouette of classic Shredder. This means he's, of course, going to be the big bad of the next film, which doesn't surprise me one bit. My only concern is if it'll be a one and done for the Shredder when that movie comes out. But for now, only time will tell. I honestly at least hope it's going to be as good, almost as good as Across the Spider-Verse, because of course this next trilogy of Turtle movies is pretty much that's kind of gonna be their version of Spider-Man Spider-Verse trilogy. But again, like I said, only time will tell. All in all, this movie was fire. If I were to scale it, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It's not a perfect movie, but I do consider it to be a great movie. One I definitely recommend watching in theaters. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and put down in the comment section below on what you thought of this video and what you thought of this movie. With all that said and done, I'm JT Anime, and I'll check you guys later.